It is one of the great days of the year. Hello everyone and welcome to the 34th annual Gold Coast Airport Marathon here on the tourism strip of Australia here on the Gold Coast. What a venue, what a location. It's the only time of the year that you get to use the word holiday and marathon in the same sentence. What a contradiction that is. But this is a place that 365 days of the year, it's happening. There is things to do, but today it's busier than ever because we have over 9,000 competitors from interstate and overseas. We've got a field of over 28,000 runners ready to run and rumble and walk and do whatever they can in all shapes and sizes. And so many with stories to tell. Among the competitors today, a couple from Darwin about to be married, Lloyd and Emma.
No, I'm more nervous about this than I am getting married, so...
Well, we've done a lot of running together, so we've been through those pains.
Yeah.
We know how to run together, so it's all good.
Yeah.
For the record, our youngest competitor this year, just 5 years of age. Our oldest competitor, Bill Pacey from Tweed Heads, 94 years young. As we fly over the top of Southport, ready for the start, we head as far north as Runaway Bay, as far south as Burleigh Heads. And with me in commentary, Steve Monaghetti. He loves coming to the Gold Coast for all manner of reasons, but in particular for today.
Indeed, a really exciting day today. Fantastic field in both the men's and the women's. Perfect conditions. Where else would you want to be but on the start line of this great event?
And a race record set last year of 2:10.01 by the Kenyan Nicholas Manza. Strong international field again. Let's hear from some of the elite runners.
My aim is to run my personal best. I did 2:10.04 in Prague, and Aria had done 2:09.02 in Kenya at Mombasa Marathon. But I think I'll do at least other 2:09 or 2:09.
My aim is to try to be a part of the top runners and try to beat 2 hours 10 minutes if possible. I am 25 years old. There are some 24 to 25-year-old Kenyan runners, so I want to beat them as well.
Look, I'd hope to be, up in the, it'd be great to get top 5 if we're talking about places as well. So that'd be brilliant, but it's a tough field.
Seeing the contingent from the Rift Valley, Japan, Portugal, you wouldn't bet on me for a win. They're on a different league.
Well, there you go. In just that snapshot, we've heard runners from 4 different nations there. Truly an international event, the Gold Coast Airport Marathon.
It is, and I think we'll see a great race, obviously, between those internationals and some Australians today.
Well, underway, the distance is 42.195 kilometres. And this marathon today, great depth in the field, and what a sight this is. If you could go back to the pioneers of the race back in 1979, if they could see today right now, and many are here, just blown away by it.
They would. Look at the numbers on seeing that aerial shot there. A beautiful morning. You can see a bit of shadows there, but the weather's just perfect. So great crowds out on the road.
Well, it's renowned, of course, as a flat marathon course, but what do you expect to see early here, Steve?
Well, obviously the pacemakers, they're on a pace to run under that Australian record that Rob De Castella ran way back in 1982. To do that, it's 2:09.18. They need to run just over 3-minute kilometre pace. So they'll slot into that early and try and get that tempo and that rhythm really early in the race and settle in.
Well, across these shots, for many of these people attempting the full journey for the first time, the numbers, our total entry list is 28,224 for the festival here, but the actual marathon this year, 5,749 starters.
That's real growth, Vossi. That is huge numbers to run the marathon. A lot of them would have stepped up from the half, having run it here last year, so they're up for the big dance today, and let's hope it's a good day for them.
Well, many will lose touch with the elite very, very quickly because this is such a strong field, and the gathering of Kenyans and Ethiopians and Japanese runners here, and we join the lead right now, and you can see that is Maregu on the left of screen, and the green singlet, Mwangi right in the middle. We've got the pacemaker Mitai there on the right-hand side, Steve, with a big role to play.
Oh, yeah, and he's obviously just trying to get that pace going. As I say, it's just over 20k, or just under 20k an hour. So you see a couple of Australians off the back there as well, Shane Nankervis and Mark Tucker, and they'll be keen to just sit in the back here and try and just ruffle them a bit. You don't want the Kenyans they'll pack up together, and it makes it difficult then to break up their rhythm.
And just behind those actual lead runners, David Mandago there in the field too. He has that sensational personal best of 2:06.53 from Paris back in 2009. It just emphasises just how strong this field is this year.
Yeah, he's a class athlete in this group for sure. 2:06, that is, that'd be a world record 20 years ago. So that's how well he's going. So the tall figure there looking very relaxed.
So it's a group of 10 that take out the field in the Gold Coast Airport Marathon, all perfectly in stride. And lovely conditions for running early this morning here on the Gold Coast. And spectators will come out and grow in numbers as the race pans out. And already, though, plenty out there as well to support our runners. See some getting to the country only yesterday.
Yeah, flying in late. It's a profession for them. It's a business. They don't come over for a holiday. They're here to be prominent in this race, and so they fly in very late now and just have a couple of nights sleep, good night's sleep, and hopefully they're up and ready to go today.
Ali Mayu Shumye from Ethiopia, he only flew in yesterday morning. There were some reports at the start he couldn't get to sleep last night. He's had very little sleep, and yet here he was lining up at the start this morning, all ready to go.
At least he wouldn't miss it, I suppose. If he didn't go to sleep, that's always the concern. Sometimes it has happened where they've overslept and haven't got to the start line for that reason, because they're a bit jet lagged and flying late, and before you know it, the race is upon them. Not today, though. We've got them. Well, interesting, only the Japanese, they're wearing a hat, so it shows the conditions are pretty good, I'd say. I feel like the weather's crisp. The sun's out, but it's probably 8 or 9 degrees, so perfect running weather.
And where they're running right now, heading south back towards Main Beach at Surfers Paradise, just yonder is SeaWorld. I often say you can bring the kids up this way for a world trip. You've got SeaWorld, Dream World, Wiggles World, Water World, the whole, it's the world trip.
And Marathon World today.
Marathon World today, exactly.
Maybe not for the kids, but it's not fun and games out there. It's serious business.
Well, the pace is really on. They are running 3 minutes a kilometre right at the moment. And in fact, before the race, we got a fascinating insight into tactics, catching up with Robert Mwangi and Ernest Kebenai.
In track now, it's like 400 meters. We used to, if you say 10 times, and you run 60 seconds, or 1 minute, and you run 40 times, 400 meters.
I think in Kenya there is this encouragement we got from other athletes who have managed to run well, and they usually tell us that no pain, no gain. So that is one thing that we used to take with us: no pain, no gain.
It may well be a universal code: no pain, no gain, and that's incredible. 4,400s.
Oh, unbelievable. And, I think we talk about the endurance of the marathon, how far it is, but that gives you some idea that they actually do fast running, and they're running at 60-second pace, which is quicker than they'll run today, but that you need that speed in your legs so you feel comfortable in this early rhythm.
At your peak, Steve, would you have done anything like that in training?
I used to do 8 400s.
8 400s, yeah.
So, gee, I was just having a holiday. I don't know why I bothered lacing my shoes up for a little lazy 8.
Seriously, if you turned up at a training session and the coach said you're going to run 4,400s today, you'd say, oh, I've got a bit of a groin, a bit of a hammy. That's amazing. What a tale that is from these incredible athletes. And we'll talk more about just the depth of Kenyan running in particular later. There was some amazing statistics in and around the Olympics and qualifying time set throughout 2012. But it's hard to comprehend just the depth of running and the competition these guys are up against in their home country.
And it is their life and their livelihood, and they understand and expect it, and they would love, they're coming to the Gold Coast. Imagine the travel, they get the opportunity to travel, but when they're here and the shoelaces are done up, they are here seriously to run well and represent their country with pride.
So we're keeping this group of 10 together. To the layman, they would ask about the role of the pacemaker. You take the pacemaker away, the runners would still go fine, wouldn't they? They'd still be able to judge how things are going.
Yeah, in a marathon though, Vossi, it's really important to spread your energy out over the whole distance. So you don't want to be surging or having to concentrate on, oh, is that kilometre fast? Is it a bit slow? Should I get to the front now? Whose turn is it to take over? When you know you've got set pacemakers, they just slot in, you sit in behind them, let them do the work, you know the pace will be spot on.
And Joseph Maregu on screen, the oldest of the Kenyan runners here, 34. In fact, Mandego also 34 years of age. As now we get our first look at one of the star attractions when it comes to the women's, and our 2010 champion running again today here in 2012.
And isn't that interesting? Already out by herself, which it's a mixed race here, so they're running with the men, but maybe I think Yoshida might be happy just setting in her own rhythm there, not needing to worry about sitting in with the men.
And Kaori Yoshida, when she won in 2010, 2:31.33 was her time. Now the bulk of the field come across the bridge here at Southport, and you get that contrast where they start to hit the high rise of Surfers Paradise. And I can tell you, the margin is incredible already between the field and the elite at the front. I mean, they did all start at the same time, but already the front runners, this front pack, are about to hit Main Beach at Surfers Paradise, and they will emerge from the trees here, and this is a cracking pace being set.
Be under no illusions at how fast these guys are going. Would be impossible for normal people to keep up for 20, 30 metres at this pace. So whilst they look very efficient and look like they're just jogging, they are running at a very fast pace.
Well, I think the cyclist there on the left of picture gives a nice perspective to that. He's doing his best just to keep up with our best as they run into the apartment and hotel strip. We've been staying at the Crown Plaza at Surfers Paradise, and some holiday makers there weren't aware that the marathon was happening, but they're pretty excited about it. And I think people who were just staying in these apartments coming out, waking up this morning and saying, have a look at this. This is sensational, right on their doorstep. And earlier today too, sensational, the ASICS Half Marathon. Now, rich history in this event as well, Steve, but I think this year's winners, amazing stories. Alex Watson in the women's, incredible. And young Liam Adams, the Victorian, on debut in the half marathon. What a star he is.
Yeah, very well-credentialed runner, Liam. City to Surf winner. Great history, but the women's winner's a terrific story, mate.
Well, there was Liam Adams winning over 10,000 competitors in the half marathon this year, but it's not so long ago that this young lady from Tweed Heads, no coach, just a runner, life-threatening surgery, had a huge tumour removed from her stomach. She couldn't even walk after the surgery. Her doctors didn't think she should be here today, and here she is winning. Amazing.
I was a bit shocked how well I felt. We were roughly running the same pace towards the end. We kind of negative splitted.
To be honest, the only reason I did so well was my mum and dad were here. They've never seen me run before. So that just was in my background the whole time. I'm like, I've got to prove mum how good I am.
A real inspiration. What a great young lady, Alex Watson. And the Southern Cross University 10K run, this actually staged yesterday. The festival of running here has become so big. And this event with a huge field this year of almost 7,000 runners. And again, good stories to tell here. Young guy from Toowoomba. Quite a surprise, Steve.
Yeah, Patrick Tiernan, only 17 years of age, so a prodigious talent.
30:34 his winning time in the 10K run. Remember the name, Patrick Tiernan. And Olympian Lisa Waitman, outstanding performance in 32:17 in the women's and a race record to boot. And also as part of the weekend, the Dream World Juniors Dash 2K run. Our youngest competitor only just turned 5 years of age.
How excited are they? Look at them taking off. They've got some energy, those young kids, and there's the future. No doubt about that. I'm sure we'll see them back in other events in future years.
Also on the program, the Dream World 4K Junior.
Fantastic location with family and friends.
3 generations of runners all in the one event. I think that is fantastic. And we're back with the elite. And the group of 10 has been cut in number, but some big names right there. I must say we're not getting to see Mandego at all as a prominent figure, which is quite a surprise.
That is a surprise to me, certainly. I thought he'd be up there right on the back of this pacing group. It's interesting how maybe he's not having a great day, I'm not sure, but he certainly doesn't look to be as prominent as what I thought he would be.
So 3 nations represented in this leading group with Ethiopia, Kenya and Japan. Yuki Kawauchi, the Japanese runner, he's a sensation back home. He's known as the citizen runner and he has a huge following.
This is my joy. Everybody can call me and recognise me as the citizen runner, so that we can share this period of the sport, get together and bond. It doesn't matter what the sport is.
Tokyo Marathon, Yuki ran a time of 2:8:37. His best?
He's no citizen runner, let me tell you that. Don't think of him as just an amateur person who's just taken up running. He's a very classy athlete, and that would put him just on, just outside some of the best marathon runners that country's ever produced.
25 years of age, what a story it would be back in Japan if you could have a Japanese winner in the men's and the women's, because certainly in the women's, with the efforts of Kaori Yoshida, she's already won here a couple of years ago and looking good again.
And Kaori looks like she's got a friend there. I think that's Walknesh Tola, who's just caught up. It looks like they've got a little pack going, and I don't know if she doesn't look all that happy about that. I think she's trying to just push the pace a little bit. I think she prefers to run by herself. I just get that sense the way she's running there.
And Worknesh has a good winning record in marathons over a long period of time, so no surprise to see her there. Another one of the Japanese runners, Kaora Ayama, on screen, 29 years of age.
Isn't it interesting? We've got Ethiopians and Japanese, both prominent in the men and women.
And Kenya well represented as well with Helen Kumatai, who has the form on the board this year, winning the Rome Marathon back in March in 2:31:11, an event where she had patience to thank, and she's right in the middle of the pack right now.
I tried to go with the best of the ladies until 19K. Ladies also tried to push. I left them to go, but when I reached 25 kilometers, I found the ladies. I start now picking them slowly by slowly.
Yeah, fascinating to hear thoughts, and a little bit of ground to make up though at the moment for Kumatai, despite her outstanding record. Yoshida and Tola really doing the business here.
And it's unusual for Kenyans. Normally they're very aggressive and up the front of the pack, so that's good to hear. Kumatai saying she just paces her run and picks them off one at a time, and we might see that today. Although I'm just not sure. It looks more like these two have settled into a really good pace now. And Rashid, I'm convinced she likes running from the front, so she might get a bit perturbed about having Tola right on her feet there.
Well, here's one of the outstanding landmarks of the Gold Coast, and we're talking about Q1, and these days you can do the Sky Point climb. Not quite my cup of tea that high, but boy, oh boy, what a view of the Gold Coast Airport Marathon today that is.
They're giving us a wave. I think I'd prefer having my feet on the ground doing the running today rather than up there. What spectacular views. They get a bonus getting to look down on the runners today as well.
What a great part of the world, and I'd like $1 for every photo that's been taken under the Surfers Paradise sign right there, right at the steps of the beach, and today runners aplenty.
Good packs there. You see a lot of the runners going in there for that much needed drink, making sure they're keeping hydrated. You can see the sun poking through. It might get hot later on, but at the moment it's still pretty good. But you want to hydrate early if you can. They're out there waving, enjoying the day. Look at that. Ladies, isn't it terrific? I reckon there's been a massive jump in the number of women who are running in events like this now. It's great to see.
What a wonderful shot. Surf just rolling in here on the Gold Coast. We've got the Endura hydration aid stations, and that's always the key, Steve. You've got to have your race tactic in that regard planned out before you start.
Yes, and the elite athletes will have their special drinks on those stations. There's 8 of those across the event, so every 5 kilometres, but they will get sponges and water stations in between those at 2.5K as well, and they will certainly be utilising those today.
Well, we had a very clear pack of 10 early. We've now got sort of 7 runners starting to string out a little bit.
And that's where the pace is on. Obviously, they're starting to get into single file, so I think they've injected a bit of pace there. And you see Mwangi just directing them there, marshalling the troops.
And this is the southernmost point of the course down at Burleigh Heads. So they turn back, and some of the field will start to get a glimpse of these top runners. And yes, Mwangi, well, he's the boss at the moment, isn't he, of what's happening out there.
The tall, rangy figure, he certainly is, looking dominant at the front of the group there. He's got a bit of a gap. I'm not sure if he's breaking away. They're through 15 kilometres and starting to head back, so you get a bit of a sense you're running back towards that start-finish area. So I think, you know, they'll be starting to get a bit serious about their running now. Keeps looking back, which is interesting. He would do that. I'd be looking forward and running down, looking forward to where you're running, not from whence you've come.
Well, Mwangi sending out the message, really, that he's not about to slow down. He's sort of wanting the pack to come up alongside of him.
He's obviously maintaining the pace and he's saying, well, I'm out here, come on, let's get on this and work as a group. It's a long way to run by yourself, 27k.
Well, from above, you can appreciate just how fast they are moving along. And let's hear more of Robert Mwangi right now on his race approach.
I'll pace until 30 kilometers. I'll try to do my best until 30. So after 30 now, if I feel that I have that power to go, I'll go. If I feel that I have to keep in the pack and then try to push harder at the end, that is what I'll do.
Our lead runners hit another one of the Endura hydration aid stations. And Steve, more on Robert Mwangi. A month ago, suffering from typhoid, and he's not 100%. He looks 100% right now.
He does. He certainly. You would never imagine that he could have had typhoid just that short time ago, and his recovery seems pretty good.
Physically, quite the specimen. We say he's the big man in this pack, but he's a big man in any company, really.
He is, yeah. For a Kenyan, he's quite tall, and surprisingly, I mean, he's towering above the rest of the field there, and that's a bit unusual. It's a long way to carry that. If he's taller, he's carrying a bit more weight. So normally, from an efficiency point of view, you don't want to be too tall. It's normally the smaller marathon runners nowadays who are successful, but he's certainly leading from the front. Looks great.
So 7 runners at the front of the field in the Gold Coast Airport Marathon, and the Gold Coast will of course be the venue for the Commonwealth Games in 2018, and this area ready to embrace that sporting festival. You know, it's just a great place to go for holidays. Everyone in Australia loves coming here, but now also a premier sports venue as well, and this particular event proves that every year.
And look at the people out on the course. You can hear the sounds and the colour. It's just a good event to be a part of because you get such great support from the crowds here. So, no, out on the streets, there we go. Look at that off the balcony, giving us a wave and a cheer. Good on them.
Well, they're represented in the 2 major football codes, in the AFL with the Gold Coast Suns and the National Rugby League with the Gold Coast Titans. But look at this, where the rest of the field get to see the elite on the other side of the road. This is fantastic.
How good would that be? What sport can you do that, where you're running along, enjoying your participation, and you see some of the best in the world at their business?
And to totally gauge where you're at to see how quickly they are moving. And just take a look at that. They're flying here. And certainly the race record is in serious danger today of being broken.
You are correct, Andrew, because we've just heard that they've gone through halfway in 64.33, which is just over that 3 minutes per kilometre. So they are just under race record time. So yeah, they're certainly on their game today. And having a big pack like this, you would think that having the depth, that a couple of these guys are certainly going to be able to give that record a good nudge.
Well, spectacular the pictures we're bringing to you today from the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. And you want a postcard shot? Well, how about this one? And our team of camera crew doing a great job up in the choppers today, bringing you the images here. And back to our lead runners. And Mitai is there, and Mwangi and Shumye just on the right. They've got Kurrawa Beach on their right-hand side, one of the famous strips at Broadbeach on the Gold Coast.
There's a couple just dropping off the back there, so they're certainly getting down to their business now. They'll know, they run out on this same section of the course, so they'll know that they're heading back now, heading towards surface and main beach. So they're in that stage of the race where they're just sorting themselves out a little bit, I reckon.
Well, good opportunity here, Steve, to compare some running styles here of our lead group. And you look at how Japanese, our citizen runner.
Well picked, Andrew, because I think you look at the Kenyans, very relaxed, arms very high, and you look at Kawauchi, who's really working hard. He looks like, he's tough, that tough Japanese attitude of mentally, he's hanging on. He's been hanging on for about 10K, but that's sometimes just how they run. It's a bit deceptive, but gee, the Kenyans and Shumye, they're looking very compact and very relaxed in their running.
Well, Mwangi towers over Shumye. That's the tall and the short of it. But what is the mindset of the runners at this point? On record pace, will the wheels fall off? What are they thinking?
So marathon, when you run it, it is enjoyable. The pace is high, but if you look with your own eyes, you will see the pace is not high. The guys are not moving fast. So once you look at your watches, when you see that the pace is high, it's about 3 minutes per kilometer. It is 2:59, and you don't feel tired when running marathon. Then it is enjoyable. You feel great.
Well, I wish that Robert could be played through the headphones of runners everywhere in the field, because they can look down at their watch and when they see they're running 2:59 and it's not hurting, it's enjoyable.
It's enjoyable and it's great. Yes.
That's how it works.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know what he was getting at, but I probably wouldn't have said it's fun and enjoyable.
But break down the actual figures. It is basically running 100 metres at a time of around about 18 seconds, over and over and over again.
Only 420 times with no recovery, none. And again, these people are out there enjoying their day, I'm sure, but they're also focusing. You know, they've trained. I think that's the thing about the marathon, Vossi. You've got to remember it's a journey. Just to get to this stage, to be able to complete a marathon, you've spent a lifetime. You've spent 12 months training, getting ready for this particular day, and it's terrific to see them out there putting down on the pavement.
Well, the race changes right now because that lead group is dwindling in number now, just 4, and that's Kebenai at the back of that 4, and I'm not sure whether he's going to be there for too much longer. So Mwangi and Shumye and Mitai all at the front.
Yeah, I think once you break that leash, once the gap is over about, we normally say about 10 metres. Once you're 10 metres off, then it's really difficult to get back on, and I think we're seeing that now with Kebenai just off the back and struggling. You can even see by his demeanour and his running action there that he's struggling.
So Ernest Kebenai, this is a tough moment in the race when you've still got a long way to go. You've been with the lead group, but now you start to fall off.
Yes, and no well wishes now. Mwangi's not shaking the arm and saying, come on up now. They're getting to the stage of the race where it's every man for themselves.
Well, you talked about the effort our Japanese runner Kawauchi was putting in. He's also really feeling the strain right now.
Yeah, and throwing the hat off there, so he's really, I think he's realising he's got to work very hard now, sweating up, he's working really tough. Look at the grimace on the face there. He knows this is the crucial part of the race for him. If he's going to make an impact on get on the dais, he needs to do it now.
And Edwin Kameo now in 6th position, so another one going from running in a pack to now running solo.
Yeah, it's hard work there, and you see his head, he's just looking close to, rather than looking up the road and looking at the other group, his head, he's more focused on just his own performance now, so you know his day's probably done. You see Mitai there, got the pace, see on his number, he's got the pace on the side of beside his name. He's a designated pacemaker, so he's doing a really good job. He's taken over here and taken up the mantle, realising he's got to keep the pace going because the group's dropping off, so he'll realise that it's up to him to do the job of that 3 minutes per kilometre pace running.
What if Mitai gets to a point and says, look, I'm feeling all right? He just keeps on going.
Well, that can happen. Sometimes there's an unwritten rule that the pacemaker doesn't keep going, but in this circumstance, he's here just to set the race pace, not to really help any particular athlete. So if he's on the pace and he can continue it, then he's quite eligible to win, yeah.
Well, Shumye is a winner, but not so Robert Mwangi, still chasing a breakthrough win at the marathon.
That will be something that it is something that I can say it will be a blessing from God, because to win a marathon, it's not easy job. But if God says, yes, you will win, then that's a gift from Him. And I think it will mean a lot to me. The things that I have passed on, the troubles that I have in Kenya, all the things I want to do, the people I want to help, it will be a great, great, great blessing from God.
There's a lot to like about Robert Mwangi, one of 6 children, and a lot to like about Yoshida of Japan, because at this stage, she's looking like she's going to win the race for the 2nd time. Really, really good.
She will know this course, and that's certainly an advantage. And again, running by herself there, it's she's obviously a person. Japanese tend to have that really strong mindset, so they're tough runners, and I think she looks really good there. She's certainly got great rhythm.
Well, it's going to be a tough rest of the day for Worknesh Tola right now. Looking at this shot.
Yeah, I think her day's done. She's almost a jogging pace, and look at that, having a bit of trouble even knowing we're looking for direction on the course. So, yeah, she's hit the wall and going backwards quickly.
Madoka Ogi coming through too. The Japanese presence so strong. There is an office of the Gold Coast Airport Marathon in Japan, and over 700 runners from Japan this year in the field. And we just saw also Helen Kumatai in 4th position in the women. So a strong race there with Yoshida in front, and a strong race here in the men's with obviously the focus on Shumye and Mwangi in particular.
Yeah, Mitai's doing a great job on the pace, and they're about to come back up over our Southport Bridge. So they're actually approaching 30k, and for me, as I've mentioned previously enough times, that's when the race really starts. So I think this is where we start really getting into the mind games. They're running a little bit apart from each other, Shumye and Mwangi, not really looking at each other either, which is interesting. So I think they're probably thinking, right, we're not giving anything away now. We're sitting in here and we're getting to the business end of the race. We'll start testing each other. The mindset of these athletes, this is what the training's all about. Physically, they know they're going to make it, but at what pace? Can they maintain that record pace that they're on at the moment when they know they go through the start-finish area and it's psychologically difficult? They've got to go out the other side for 5.5 Ks before they can turn and come for home. So this is a really crucial part of the course. Right here now, they're starting to really, need to concentrate and focus on all that training they've done over many years.
And we have never had an Ethiopian man win the Gold Coast Airport Marathon in the 33 previous years. So Shumye has a chance to create his own bit of history here today.
Wow. Well, odds would say he's probably not going to win then. So we're all saying Mwangi's going to win. But, gee, we're in for a great race. Isn't it terrific to see these two nations that dominate male distance running? And here they are with one pacemaker and one each represented here. 2012
an Olympic year, just on the Kenyan qualifiers. Those who posted a qualifying time for the marathon, what was that number? It's staggering.
It's extraordinary. I think a figure of something like 270 Kenyan athletes qualified for the Olympic time. Incredible.
When
numbers.
only 3 can run.
They're only 3. So how many is that? Did 270 miss out? Golly, gee, that is just extraordinary. What other sport in the world would have a Kenyan dominance like that? And none that I could think of.
Amazing depth just from one country alone, and we're seeing Mwangi here represent his nation. Midai in the role of pacemaker, and Alemayehu Shumye from Ethiopia.
And it's interesting you talk about Ethiopia because they're the country emerging. I think we all know about the Kenyan dominance in distance running, but the Ethiopians certainly are now making their presence really strongly felt in the marathon. So, I think this is not a surprise and a great battle. It's almost, the pride of your country now on the line.
Been some great words today that we've heard from Mwangi, and he said that if it's God's will that he wins, then this could be it. But at what point is it actually in his head? He's in uncharted territory that he is there in a position to win a marathon.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really psychological disadvantage that he's under. And there we see Mitai dropping off there. He's done his work's done for the day. What a great job he's done through 30k, and a terrific job leaving it down to 2.
And here they are, side by side. Alemayehu Shumye and Robert Mwangi. Right now, big crowds out now supporting the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. 34th year, and we could be in for a cracking finish.
And despite the size difference, their stride length is almost identical.
Well, this is interesting. Midai's decided to do some overtime as pacemaker. He'd all but done and dusted, but now he'll rejoin.
Goes over, has a look for a drink, and thinks, oh, maybe I'm still feeling okay. I can help out again. Grabs a drink. There you go. Now that is loyalty. How about that? He grabs a drink for Kebenai, goes over to help him out. Jumps back in to try and help him to the finish. Good, isn't that just terrific to see that camaraderie in the marathon?
What a good moment. Helping out Ernest Kebenai to see if he can get anywhere near these front two. But have a look at Shumye. Has he suddenly found an extra gear?
I think this is the significant point. There's definitely a surge there, no doubt about that, up this little rise, and he's looking back as if to say, OK, you're coming with me, because this is the crucial part of the race.
Well, his marathon wins were 4 years ago in 2008, winning in Warsaw and Beirut. He has a best time of 2:08.46 in Frankfurt in 2009.
And as he crests that hill, he looks like a person who's won a marathon before.
Well, his body knows what it's like to be in this position and how far he can actually push it. So now the question has been thrown at Robert Mwangi.
We can see the lead clock there. What a great psychological advantage. You know, you're looking up at that lead clock. You know the time's there. That's the challenge now, is that time. And when you got that lead card just in front of you, you know you're having a good day.
And this is one of the few parts of the course where you actually come off any sort of incline. And Shumye has propelled himself off it to open up a really handy lead, in fact.
That's experience of a strong marathon runner. He knew that there was that climb there through that start-finish area, and that's where I'm sure psychologically he's thought about that in the lead up to this event and said, that's where I'm going to make the strategic move if I'm feeling good. And it looks like he's got a winning lead there. You wouldn't want to call it just yet. They've still got 11 kilometres to go, but that's a significant break.
And it's a couple of 100 metres back to Ernest Kebenai with Mitai at his side.
Still looking pretty relaxed, so I think there's still a bit of running left in those legs yet for both of those runners. A pacemaker jumping back in. That's extraordinary. I've never seen that happen before.
And urged on along too. That helps get a little burst of adrenaline for our runners here in the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. I will say this about Shumye. If he does win, are you going to endorse the build-up, no rest, no sleep, just go out and do it? Does that become the new mantra?
Well, it's probably better than having typhoid, I suppose. So that's the comparison, isn't it? If Mwangi's still suffering typhoid, he's got a pretty good excuse, I reckon. But, yeah, it's not an ideal preparation. But that's, as I say, the Africans, that's how they do it. Fly in late and there they go. That's risky, but today it looks like for Shumye it's working very well.
Well, this time yesterday, he's going through customs, and here he is out on the track and covering the journey in grand style.
See that flick of the back leg there? That shows that he's running really well, and you compare that to someone like, you know, Kebenai, who hasn't got that knee lift and that flick of the back. That means you're still in really good rhythm and holding that pace very well. So it's almost like, if you think about it, he almost looks like he's almost middle distance running there. He's making a definite surge to open up a good gap here.
And you can see substantial gap that it is. For Shumye, tactically, if that hadn't have worked, would he have another crack? He'd just sort of test out Mwangi, but he's sort of broken his heart there in some regard.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Normally, with so many Kenyans in the lead pack, they don't do that surging, so because they stick together, but he's isolated Mwangi. As soon as the pacemaker's dropped out, he knows it's mano-mano, and he's really taken advantage of that because he knows there's not a pack of Kenyans. So he's put it to him, tested him, he sensed he was struggling, and he's made a significant move then. He could have waited till later, but if you're going to make a move when someone's struggling, psychologically, that's the time you go.
And we're looking for a record number of finishes this year at the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. In fact, in the history of the event, we've had, well, the figure is just under 260,000 runners finish their various distances, and Gold Coast Tourism would be wrapped in the weather today. I mean, God's obviously a marathon fan. He's a running fan, and he's turned it on today. Absolutely spectacular conditions, and it's an event that doesn't just happen too. We have to acknowledge the volunteers and the Suncorp Bank program. Over 1,100 volunteers today make this happen and make it such a successful event. And then, of course, there are the people who just come along to watch as well, and they add to the atmosphere, and certainly appreciated by all the runners.
We should acknowledge that, because an event like this doesn't just happen. You know, closing down a lot of what is one of the premier areas in Australia for tourism, and so there's a massive amount of work goes into just getting this event to allow us, these people, to indulge in what they do best, run.
And by the way, I mentioned 94-year-old Bill Pacey competing this year, but our oldest competitor in the marathon, 79-year-old Yukishi Suzuki from Hawaii. fair effort.
That is a great effort. Hawaii, I don't know, would have ran some marathons and some time over there. A big marathon history in the Hawaiian marathon as well, and Ironman, of course.
Well, Kaori Yoshida is certainly looking to write herself into the record books as a dual winner, as a two-time winner of the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. This has been a command performance today.
Look at the crowds on the side of the course there supporting Yoshida. And look at the lift off the ground. Notice her feet. At one stage there, you could see both her feet would be in the air. That is a sign that you're really on top of your game when you're clearing the air like that.
Well, a big rap for Richard Nicholson, winner of the wheelchair marathon, as our focus starts to turn to the finish line, and it won't be too much longer before we see the finishing time of our winner, and it does look like it's going to be Shumye of Ethiopia. He has really broken the back of Robert Mwangi, and it's in his hands right now as to what time is put up on the board.
That's the focus, and although he's looking around, that will be front of mind now. And that's the thing you need. Psychologically, you need to have some goal that you want to achieve, and for him it'll be the bonus, the race record, the fastest time on Australian soil of Rob de Castella from way back. 30th anniversary, wouldn't that be appropriate that we have on the 30th anniversary a fast time up here on the Gold Coast? And Shumye looks really good, and looking up the road and focusing on, he's heading back now towards that finish line, so he'll know how far he's got to go, be well aware that the race is in his hands. It's now just a matter of how fast he can run.
And the finish line at the Gold Coast Aquatic Centre at Southport, that will be the venue when the Commonwealth Games hit town in 2018 for all the swimming. And Shumye has set sail for home. And this is a really good showing. Crowd acknowledge that they're watching a great performance here.
A world-class run. Now all eyes on that clock. How close can he get to that course record and that Australian all-comers record?
Well, of our elite runners, he is the youngest here. Alimayu Shumye, 24 years of age from Ethiopia. He's into the compound that will take him to the finish line right now, and he is all alone to get the support of the crowd. It's going to be a win for the first time for an Ethiopian runner at the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. And how easy is he handling this part of the track? No sleep, no rest. Flew in yesterday morning, his first trip to the Gold Coast, and he will walk away with a huge victory. He's just blown them away here today. I reckon he could probably get across the line and go again. That's how good he looks. So cheer him home. What a win. Alimayu Shumye, the final 100 metres right now, and it really looks as strong as his first 100. And he's now covered 42.195 kilometres. Little stagger there at the finish. But Shumye does it. The pain sets in as he realises the time just outside the record at 2:10:35. And what about this man, Robert Mwangi? So Long Ren along his side. Still waiting for that breakthrough win, but a good performance all the same, Steve.
A great race today, and look at that terrific camaraderie there between, got the Ethiopian flag, and Kenyan second place again for Mwangi.
And Urbis Kebenai across in third position.
Suggests he's happy to see that finish line.
And ready to kiss the track. Yes. And the citizen runner representing all of Japan and his huge following, and he's done them proud again today.
The Ethiopian contingent here, they're always great supporters. They'll always come out and support their athletes no matter where you travel all around the world.
3 nations represented in our top 4 here, and you can see the smiles on them. Kawauchi there. What a great image to send around the world of what's on offer here at the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. And those times confirmed: Shumye 2:10:35, and the margin significant in the end to Mwangi at 2:12:19. Kebenai third in 2:12:49, and Kawauchi at 2:13:26. Jonathan Peters, the first Australian home in 2:20:05. On debut, he also claims the IAAF Oceania Marathon Championship.
Me, I'm target break record, my target. Yeah. So next year, I'm 100% sure.
It is because I felt that after pacing until that TK, I felt that I can move on. And because I promised my mom that I'll win, I keep on pushing, telling God, God, remember that I promised my mother.
The base was very nice all the way, but I was feeling a groin injury. Yeah, but it started at 25K, really hurting. So when we reached 25 to 26, I adjusted my base to 320, 315, and I was comfortable with the base. So and I adjusted so that I can try to finish the race.
Well, lots to take out of all of that. Shumye, our winner, says he'll be back next year, and Mrs. Mwangi sounds like quite a lady. She had a bit of pressure on her son.
She'll be very unhappy. No, he might have to cook his own dinner for a few weeks, I think, when he gets home.
Well, let's hail our winner, not for the first time in the women's, but she has been superb today, and much of her effort has been done solo as well. You've got to appreciate that. No pacemaker alongside of Yoshida. She's worked and done it in style.
She looks fantastic. She's had this experience before, but there's no better feeling than knowing you come into the finishing straight a winner.
So 30 years of age. It is Ethiopia in the men's. It will be Japan again in the women's. And it is Kaori Yoshida. I think you could crown her just about as the princess of the Gold Coast. A 2-times winner now of the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. When she won in 2010, her time was 2:31.33. This year, she stops the clock at 2:30.36.
She'll be delighted with that, a great result.
And it will be Japan 1-2 as Madoka Ogi across in second place, and third Kumatai of Kenya as she enters the compound in the final couple of 100 metres. Helen Kumatai, what an outstanding international event this is when we can attract so many competitors from other parts. And the times confirmed for the women's. Yoshida 2:30.36, over 3 minutes in advance of Ogi, and Kumatai's time 2:36.45. As far as the Oceania title is concerned in the women's, that goes to the 49-year-old from New Zealand, Sally Gibbs, with a time of 2:41.15, 6th overall, but she claims the Oceania title.
I really enjoyed this race, even though I couldn't break the record. But that gave me a little bit of space and feeling to enjoy the race. I really enjoyed it.
The race was good, but my problem was my legs was not moving, so I tried to run with my best.
And here's one of the most impressive figures out of today. The 2012 Gold Coast Airport Marathon can now boast the most number of finishes of a marathon ever held in Australia. The figure almost up around the 5,100 mark.
That is a terrific result and shows that the marathon is still on people's bucket list.
So hard, but I just ran like a 12-minute PB.
Beautiful day, and no matter how you run, it's always good to finish a marathon.
Mate, I had the sorest legs in the world after 27 Ks, and I just wanted it to be over with, but I didn't die, and I got there, and mate, anything's possible.
It was fantastic. It was really flat, super fast, personal best. Stoked.
It's really nice out there, perfect weather today, so it was a great race.
And to everyone who participated, and they'll be coming across the finish line for quite some time. Today also with the Cancer Council Queensland, the official sponsor, but a whole host of charities supported by this event. The runners have raised over $450,000, so well done. And Steve, well done, another great event. You love coming up here, and it won't take much of an invitation to get you back again next season.
No, the best marathon in Australia, no doubt about that. Always a pleasure to be involved with a successful event like we've had today.
So the Gold Coast Airport Marathon, a win to Ethiopia in the men's, a win to Japan in the women's. But what an event at one of the most popular holiday spots in the world. The Gold Coast, famous for fun.
quality digital post-production.